In this video, I am going to share with you the top 20 mistakes I made in my client success department that really hindered the growth of my career coaching business. And that by changing these mistakes from negatives into positive, I was able to build one of the best client success department in career coaches history. And I say this as someone that's been a career coach for over 10 years, has scaled my client success department to over 10 full-time employees. And at any given time, we had over 400 clients actively going through our career coaching program. If we have not met, my name is Daniel Botero, and I'm the founder of Opni. I've been a career coach for over 10 years, and I make videos like this to help other career coaches build a profitable, impactful, and scalable career coaching business. And in the last 24 months, we have done over multiple 7 figures in career coaching business services and sold that. And I make this video, specifically this one on client success, because you're not able to build a long-term brand and a long-term business if you don't have a good service. It doesn't matter how big your follower count is, it doesn't matter how good your brand is and your marketing is. If you don't have a good service that generates success stories, that generates referrals, that generates testimonials, your business will fail sooner than later. And I wanted to make this video specifically on client success because it was inspired by a conversation that we had in our Career Coaches Accelerator program, where we work hand in hand with a handful of coaches every quarter to build a successful career coaching business. And this is a conversation that happened because a lot of our coaches are now going in the phase where they don't worry too much about marketing and sales, and a lot of our conversations are driven about successfully doing career coaching in the right way. And what I'm going to share with you guys is the biggest mistakes that I see and I made personally myself, and I see a lot of our other career coaches making, that I want you to help avoid. So if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please go ahead and do so. So look, I understand, and I'll tell you what this video is going to cover and what it's not going to cover. I am not going to cover how to do the service of career coaching. I am not going to teach you how to do a resume. I am not going to teach you how to do mock interviews. I am not going to teach you how to find jobs to apply for, or how to network, or how to do any of that. The purpose of this video is more about the systems, the process, the do's, the don'ts of client success. Because if you can have your client success run like a well-oiled machine, it's going to generate a predictable result. Because whether you see it or not, your business is a machine with the right inputs generates the right outputs. And so this is what it's all about. So without further ado, let's dive into my top 20 mistakes. I'm going to actually order these mistakes, not in order of importance, because I think they're all really important, but more in the order of the client journey. So mistake number 1, not giving clear directions once they make payment. You see, whether you're the salesperson or you have someone in your team generate sales, when your clients submit payment, that first interaction that happens after their credit card has been rang and they see that the money has been withdrawn for their bank becomes a really, really important time. Because during that time is when your clients are wondering, did I make the right decision? So if you don't have a really good process of what happens as soon as payment is collected, you're missing out on an amazing opportunity to reassure your client that they made the right choice. So in this situation, what I suggest you do is after payment, have it redirect them to a thank you page. And one of the mistakes I did is that I didn't do this for a really long time. But once I did, I dramatically see how engaged and how much less people were wanting to leave the program right away because they felt like they hadn't made the right decision. So what I would suggest you do in this situation is, as soon as somebody submits the payment, whether you're using Kajabi or something else, automatically forward them to a thank you page and have them automatically receive an email with the same information of this thank you page. What I would suggest you do here is have a video welcoming them to your program and reassuring them and reselling them on the value proposition that they were told in the sales. Because people are used to being sweet talked by salespeople, but once you redo this right after they pay, they're like, okay, these people are not just gonna run away with my money, which is a fear that people can have, especially if you're a new coach and they'll have a massive social media presence. So in this video, what you wanna do is just simply say, hey, congratulations on making one of the best decisions in your life and your career. I am super excited that you decided to join Opni and the Academy. Here's the next steps. Step number 1, I want you to join our community, join our Slack channel, join our school, whatever it is that you are communicating with them next. I want you to fill the onboarding form. This is something that we have as a best practice. They fill a bunch of information, they upload their resume, we ask them a bunch of information that we generally would ask them on the onboarding call. We now gather that information, save time from the onboarding call, and allow them to know that we care and we're trying to get all that information for them. If you have an online course part of your program, have them watch the first video so they know what they can do next. The whole key here is over communicating in the beginning. It is totally okay that your email says the same thing of the page, because what's going to allow them, I'd rather you over communicate than under communicate. All right, so that's mistake number 1. Number 2, not having your client sign a legal agreement. And this is something that I didn't do for the first 2 years of my program, probably the first year and a half of my program. I thought that, with just a verbal confirmation that this will make everything okay and that I'm not going to have any issues. And look, that might be the case when you're only working with 5, 10 clients. But when you get to the point in the scaling, when you're onboarding 10 clients a week, you're going to really need a legal agreement, especially if some of the money that you're collecting has to do with the performance or the back end of your offer. And that's really important. But even besides the fact, even if somebody pays you up front, an agreement is something really important because it sets expectations correctly and allows the client to understand that this is serious, to understand that this is really important. And in this agreement, it shouldn't just be about protecting you. It should also be able to protect your clients. And a way to communicate this to your clients is to say, hey, it's really important that we have a very clear understanding of what you can expect from me and what I can expect from you. And this is why in this agreement, I have all that listed out. And in that agreement, it's important that you also have a clause that allows you to get a testimonial in the end. That's just a little bonus point here. But it's really important that they get that sign, they use some sort of Sign Easy or DocuSign or some sort of electric signature to do this. It will protect you in the future and it will save you tons of headache in the future. If you have any questions about this, again, anything that I am covering here, feel free to message me and we can talk more about it. Number 3 is not charging your clients at least 20% down payment. And I think this is a mistake more than newer coaches make when they're just trying to get momentum and growing their client count, and they're willing to do it for free up front or charge in the end, or have only pay like $100 and then pay 5% or a certain percentage of the back end. Those are all things that I understand that you want to do in the beginning, but the problem, and I found this, and this is not just my opinion, I have data to back this fact, is that the less skin in the game your clients have, the less likely they are to execute your program correctly and therefore success. And I'll tell you a personal story. For the first 4 years of my business, I did it for free. I was still working in corporate America. I was mentoring people for free, and I just didn't want to charge. I just felt like I just wanted to do this as a way to give back. But I could tell you this with certainty, that the more I've been charging clients, the better the execution and the better the results. When people are invested into something, which with money, they are going to work on it harder. And I've seen a dramatic correlation for the clients that argue and want the biggest discounts and don't want to pay as much up front. Those are the clients that have the worst execution, the worst attitude, the most victim mentality. And so I just want to make sure that you are at least protecting yourself and that you're at a minimum charging 20% of your total fee as the first payment. If not, this is going to be signs and red flags of headaches that you're going to have to deal with in the future. Mistake number 4 was not having a proper onboarding. You see, I would simplify onboarding. I thought onboarding was just a way to get focused. Like I would try to group onboarding and clarity and all these things into one. And the reality is that onboarding is it's a really, really important part, because onboarding, you need to set really clear expectations, which is actually mistake number 5. So I'm actually going to group 4 and 5 together, because onboarding, it's important to have set really, really clear expectations to show them a roadmap of what they're about to encounter, the journey that they're about to encounter. It's also important that you set a goal date with them, that you understand and that you're both on the same page of understanding how fast they're looking to get a job and what is realistic versus what their expectations are. Because people were like, oh, I need a job in 2 weeks, Daniel. And I'm like, sure, but if you're an international student and you graduate in May, and based on your experience and based on the market conditions and based on X, Y, and Z, getting a job in 2 weeks is unrealistic, because most of the companies that sponsor international students have multiple interview processes. So you as a coach have to use onboarding as a way to set clear expectations, set a goal date that's doable and achievable, and let them know how much work it's required to be able to achieve that goal. But at the same time, also let them know what happens if they don't execute accordingly to the plan and how that's going to delay their goal date. Because what you don't want is that they start slacking on execution, and it's going to happen, and that they expect the goal date to not move, or for them to get that result in 90 days when they took about 3 weeks because of whatever reason they were able to come up with. And so that's why it's super important that onboarding is done correctly, that onboarding is recorded, that there's a pre-onboarding questionnaire, that you're gathering their information, that you're setting clear expectations based on their goals, backgrounds, and timeline, and that you're coming up with a game plan and saying, hey, if you want to get this result by this time, this is what I need you to do on a weekly basis. I need to make sure that we have your resume done in the next week. I need you to start applying to 10 quality applications a week starting from week 2. I need you to make sure that you're networking with at least 5 people, that you're setting those expectations very, very, very clear. If not, those miscommunications are going to come and bite you in the butt later on as your clients start saying that they're not getting the results that they were expecting. And that's really, really important to cover on onboarding. Which again takes us to step number 5, which is about setting clear expectations. Because I think a lot of times we tend, and I see this mistake to happen a lot, we tend to oversell in the sales process. We try to say, yes, no problem, 90 days. Like we try to have this huge marketing things on what are the best case scenarios that could happen, because we had a client that got a job in 60 days. So now we assume that everybody's going to get a job in 60 days, but that's not a real reality. And so what I'm trying to say is it's important that you set really, really clear expectations from the beginning, and you continue to set those expectations moving forward. And every single time that you interact with the client, that you're reminding them how they're doing compared to the expectations set in week 1. Because if they're continuing to not execute or follow the plan as you've set it, it's important to have those difficult conversations and say, hey, according to the way that you're executing the program and that you're following the directions, you're not going to be able to hit the goal date because you don't have enough time. So we either A, need to retweak the plan. You're going to have to spend more time job searching, more time networking, more time working on projects, or we're going to have to change the goal date. And it's okay to rechange the goal date, but having clear expectations and checking from understanding is going to be key for you to have a very successful client success department. Number 6 was not having a CRM or a good way to track your client's progress. I think for me, in the beginning, I used to think that just by having the messages with them on the Slack channel was a good way for me to know what's going on in the conversation. And that might be true when it's just you and you have less than a dozen clients. But as your business grows and you have 20, 40, 50, 100 clients that you're managing at any given time. And especially true when you have other coaches and other team members in your team that are also interacting with your clients. Having a place like a CRM or a project management tool to track your client's progress is going to be key to ensuring that your client has a smooth transition. And we use a platform called Monday to be able to track our client's journey. And we're looking to even build a better tool for that, because I don't think there is such thing like that in the market. So don't worry, we're looking to build a CRM for career coaches to help track the client's journey. But in the meantime, it's really important that you have such tool that you track everything from when they join the program, what's their goal date, what stage of the program they're in. Are they in interviewing? Are they in resume? Are they in networking? Are they in the salary negotiation stages? It's important that every interaction that you're having, you're adding notes, that you're adding attachments, that you're adding every information you have. And you cannot add too much, because the more information you have, the better service you're going to be able to provide to your clients, and the better service your team is going to be able to provide for the clients. So the key here is taking really good notes. Even if you have to start using like an Excel sheet or something like that, that's okay too. But just use something to keep track of your client's progress and know where they are. Number 7, and this is actually one of the latest things we've added to our client success department, but has made a huge difference. This is something that we actually spoke about in the last video I published, when we had a good friend of mine, fellow career coach and client, Samuel De Inca, talk about how he categorizes his clients. Even from the sales call, he is able to identify, based on a bunch of factors, including like attitude, background, the level of execution, if this client is going to be like a superstar, is it going to just be an average, or is it going to be below average? And when you track that, you're able to say, maybe give more resources to your superstar clients. Maybe those are the clients that you actually refer them to companies that you have relationships with, while your average are just meant to go through the program the way it's intended, and your below average are the ones that are going to give you headaches, that you want to try to maybe refund early on, or get them out of the program, or just support them as they have questions. But categorizing them is going to give you and your team a really good way to know, should you go above and beyond for this client? Because what you don't want to do, and this happens again, and it happens to me a lot, and I know it happens a lot to my client, is that we're working with some clients, helping them get jobs, but it feels like we want it more than them. It's like we're putting 110% and they're putting 10%, and it's like, how can I want this more for you? How can I be doing more research for companies for you? How can I be networking more for you? And I think that's really frustrating for coaches. And like my suggestion, this is where I learn from my mistakes, and I want you to learn from mine. My suggestion in this scenario is for you to, if you have limited resources, you have limited time, you have 24 hours in a day, is to allocate your time accordingly to the level of the execution and attitude of the clients, to the categorization that you gave your clients. So for me, if a client messages me on Slack for my career coaching business and they're a superstar, I am going to try to meet with them one-on-one. I am going to try to refer them. I am going to try to go above and beyond, because I know they're just going to make me look good. I know they're the ones who are going to get the best jobs as fast as possible and be the best testimonials and be the best advocates for my program. And at the other end of this stream, I also know when as a client that's messaging me who doesn't execute, doesn't follow direction, ignores my messages or my coach's messages, and so I'm okay if I wait until next day to reply to him, because he doesn't prioritize this program. I will reply to him, but it won't be to the same speed. I'm less likely to go on a one-on-one call with him, and I'm more likely to say, hey, just come to office hours, or reply to him in a voice message. And I think when you categorize this, it's going to help you allocate your time much, much better, and you'll be surprised how helpful this becomes. Number 8, now focusing on giving your clients a quick win. Look, job searching is stressful. Job searching is full of ups and downs, and your clients go on an emotional roller coaster when they're doing job searching, right? They come into job searching very, very optimistic, but by the time they hire you as a coach, it's because they've been rejected, or they feel like they don't know how to handle this properly. And so it's important that you understand that you might not be able to get them a job in a week, but what can you do to help them get those short wins where they feel momentum, where they feel excited, that really resells them on your strategy, your vision, your plan, your program, and they can start executing with better? And so to me, what are some of the ideas for those short wins is it's essentially helping them redo their LinkedIn and helping them write a post on LinkedIn. And if you can help them do that, and they never written a post before, and they post one time and they see that they get so many more views to their profiles, that momentum win is huge. Or if you can get them from the time they join your program to start applying by week 1, because you built their resume and you did really quick action and helped them with their resume and their LinkedIn profile, and they're able to get to an interview in less than 2 weeks. Those are just wins that make sense. Or if they've never worked it before, never have done any networking before, or haven't done successful networking, and you help them identify hiring managers or potential coworkers, and those people reply, and now they're having their first coffee chat. That's magical. And those are the quick wins that you want to celebrate them. You want to let them know how good they're doing. You want to let them know that this is the type of momentum that we want, and you want to double down on that momentum to continue to grow. Number 9 is not hosting office hours. And what I mean by office hours is you could have a solo one-on-one program where you treat your clients with a white glove service, and you feel like it's only one-on-one, only you and them on a Zoom call, and that's the most premium way to deliver service. And I used to think that was the only way to do it, but I do realize that office hours, hosting a Zoom call where all your clients can come in and ask you questions, is actually not only very valuable to your clients, but also allows your program to be more scalable. But the thing that I didn't realize this a long time ago, that now I have every single one of my clients incorporate office hours into their program, is the amount of questions that people get by learning from other people's questions, right? Because you're going to have clients in different stages of the job search process. And that's actually a positive thing, because someone can ask a question, and clients who are just starting out can start visualizing themselves in the future and can be prompted to ask a question that they didn't think of, that idea originated from the question that your other clients asked. And so that's really, really important. And office hours is also a really great way for you to realize what are the most commonly asked questions, so then you can build resources around those commonly asked questions. So to me, you should be having at least one office hours every 2 weeks for your clients. Have a Zoom call, have a link, have your clients know that they can join and ask any questions, and you're going to see how powerful this can be by just adding 1 to 2 hours a month to your schedule, and how your perceived value of the program will dramatically increase. Number 10, not having guest experts or alumni in your program. Look, I understand that you might think that you're the only one that can talk about this topic, that you know your niche, they're hiring you. But if we take our ego out the way, we can understand that we can learn from everyone, especially people who've been there, done that. And if you can bring either alumni of your program, or if we can bring people who host the titles, the aspirational job titles that the people in your program have, and they can share their story and their journey, that's only going to make you look good by just association. And so to me, having either a bi-weekly or a monthly event with the guest speaker, whether that is another expert, like another career coach, someone that's in the industry of the people that you help, or an alumni of your program, having like a Q&A like we do in the school community, it is massively powerful, easy to implement, and it will increase your value of your program. So not doing it is it's a low-hanging fruit, my friends. So might as well just do it. Number 11, not having a community for your clients to interact with each other. So if you have a one-on-one program and you don't have office hours and guest speakers and a community, to me, you're missing out on a really extra valuable resource for your clients. Because especially if you've niched down in a particular industry, having other people, having your clients meet with other people who are in the same stage as you, that are also in the same industry, that they could potentially be coworkers or meet at conferences and so on, you're actually devaluing your program. Something that's very easy to add. You can do it on School for $99 a month. You can do it on Slack for free. You could open a Discord. Like, there's just so many ways to do it for really cheap or very free, that just the value there is massive. People build relationships. It's the reason why when you go to college, they say a big part of going to college is not so much what you learn, but it's a network that you build. So why would you take away that aspect of getting to know each other and connecting and building relationships? I've seen some amazing friendships come out of the community aspect of my career coaching program. In fact, there's actually people who are engaged that met in the program, which is crazy. I have 2 people who are engaged who met in the program, and that happens when you build community. Because if I could tell you, there's 3 main things that you find commonality when people are reaching some massive goals. That is 1, the right strategy. Number 2, accountability. And number 3 is community. And if you offer the right strategy and you're holding them accountable, but don't offer community, you're letting them down by 1/3 of the equation that allows for success. Because when people have friends in the program and those friends are executing, it makes their friends increase execution. So for many, many, many reasons, and I can make a video on this itself, right? Having a community for your clients is going to be massively valuable, and it'll be a mistake not to do so. Number 12, not asking your clients feedback throughout the program. Not just in the end, but throughout the program, and not having KPIs around that. So one of the KPIs that I have for my client success team is Net Promoter Score, right? And so every so often, every week or every 2 weeks, we do it randomly, but at minimum once a month, we're asking our clients and sending a random survey for our clients to answer and be able to tell us their feedback and give us a score of how likely they are to refer us to a friend. And the reason we ask that question, yes, we want the referrals, is because that's a really good indicator if they're finding value in the program. Because if they're not willing to tell their friends, then they're not really truly enjoying the program and they have buyer's remorse. And that's not what we want at all. We want them to love our program. And so here's what I would say. If they give you from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst program ever, 10 being this is the absolute best program ever, I'm so glad I am here. If they give you anything between 7 and lower, you need to ask for feedback. And the lower the number is, the more I would encourage you, if it's 5 and below, to set up a 15-minute call trying to understand what you can do to make it better and be proactive about it. And if it's 8 or higher, then this is a great opportunity to ask them if they know anybody that they can find value in this program and get referrals, and set up some sort of a referral program where you can give your current clients a discount or money, Amazon gift card, and there are people they referred a discount on their behalf. And this is a really great way to do it. But the whole point here, it's getting feedback on the program, understanding what they're enjoying, what they're not enjoying, where they're finding success, what are their bottlenecks, like how are they enjoying working with you, with your coaches, with your systems, with your program, and so on. And don't be afraid, because I would tell you, for me, I was very afraid to asking for feedback early on because I was afraid of someone calling my baby ugly, right? I was afraid of somebody saying, you suck, your program sucks. But the reality is, your program probably does suck if you're afraid to ask it. And it's okay, just confront it right away, get the feedback, and make your program better. And will make your department better, and it will make everything else better. And one thing I would say here too is, if you get one feedback, and that's the only person, one person's told you that, only one person. And this is especially if you've had a lot of clients. Like for me, like I was mentioning, we were onboarding 10 clients a week. If one person tells me that, I say, okay, we hear it. But when you hear 3 people say the same thing, then you know it's actually an issue, and it's something that you really, really need to look into it. And so I think it's important to see the trends of what they're saying, and understand what are things that you can control, what are things you can't control. But even if there are things that you cannot control, it's great for you to set up the call or send them a Loom video or send them a voice note and approach it head on. And I think that's just the importance and the difference between having a client success department and having a customer service department. A client success department is proactively trying to solve problems, while a customer service department is just waiting for people to call and be upset about. And that's not what we want. I want you to have a client success department. All right. Next, number 13 is not tracking data. You know, it's really easy for us to have really good data and KPIs when it comes to sales and marketing, right? How many leads lead to how many workshops, leads to how many sales calls, leads to how many clients. We understand the funnel concept. Like, you know, Russell Branson and so many other influencers, Alex Hormozi, have just drilled down having that funnel. But that funnel and that data also applies to client success. Do you know how many days on average does it take from your client to join the program to get an offer? Do you know how many applications leads to interviews and how many interviews leads to applications? Do you know your applications to interview rate? Do you know how many, what the average salary is? Do you know what percentage of your clients actually hit the goal date that they've set? Do you know your client's execution score? Those are all client success KPIs that you should be tracking in order to have a really good pulse of the success of your business. And there's some data points that are like laggard indicators that are really important to know if you want to know how many offers you're about to get, right? Just like we know that leads lead to sales calls that lead to clients, we should know applications, networking messages lead to interviews, interviews lead to offers. And that is where you start becoming dangerous, because once you start implementing tracking data in the client success department, that then can help you in marketing, because now you know, hey, my average salary increase is this, my average jobs to goal date is this, my average client takes this many interviews to get a job. And then you can compare yourself to other coaches, you can compare yourself to like the people who try to do it themselves. And I think that key right there is going to allow you to be better. And if there's one benefit that I think we provide our clients, is to be able to benchmark them with other career coaches to say like, hey, you're killing it, you're absolutely doing amazing, or hey, this is some areas of improvement that we need to look into. But look, that's where I'm such a big fan of building systems and processes and being able to look at the numbers to make decisions on our business. That's a lot. Number 14, keeping track of the most commonly asked questions. So one tool, again, took me a long time to do. It is now a best practice. We have our clients do this all the time. Is from day one, you want to have a list. Every time a client asks you a question, you want to put it into like an Excel sheet. And then once a week or every couple of days, you want to start grouping them together and start moving to the top, the most commonly asked question in order of descending order. And the reason I have you do this exercise is, one, is a really good visualization of what are the most commonly asked questions. But two, now you know what you should create content for, what resources you should create, what courses or videos you should create first, and it helps you prioritize this. Because the idea is that you slowly start making materials to answer those questions. So when that question happens again, you don't have to answer it in a one-on-one Zoom call. Or you can now say, here's a PDF that answers that, or watch this training, or check out this Loom, or here's a voice. Like, you essentially are able to then create efficiencies. And this is even more important when you start building your team and have VAs and have that, because then your VAs and your team, your client success department, can then forward them the resources, and this can start avoiding all the questions. Look, I think right now, if I get I have hundreds of people in my program at any given moment. And right now, I think we have over 200 people in our program. We're not even taking any more job seekers right now, and because we're solely focusing on business coaching. And to this day, even though I have over 200 active clients, if I answer 5 questions a week, it's a lot, because 99% of all questions are answered on the resources and documents and videos and team that already has the answer, because we've built a sheet of the most commonly asked questions, and that helped us prioritize what resources to make. Number 15, not relying on additional resources for your program and thinking that the solution is always one-on-one. And look, I know that we think that we're so special, that we're the only ones that can answer, that your unique background and experience is what sets you apart. But I'll be honest with you, 80% or more of career coaching is the same for everyone. Resumes is pretty much 80% the same. Interviewing is going to be 80% the same. Salary negotiation, you name it. Every activation point is going to be 80% the same. 20% fine, I'll give you. Everyone's different, has different goals, backgrounds, aspirations. Everyone's different. I get that. So to me, creating resources, videos, PDF, templates, examples, email bank, all of this stuff will only add value to your service, only add value to your program, and only add value to your clients. So you not relying on things like videos to cover things that you're repeating over and over again is doing yourself a disservice and your clients. And if you think about this, it's how every business is done, right? You go to the hospital, you don't just talk with all doctors. You actually have administration staff, billing staff, you have nurses, you have physician's assistants, you have doctors, and then you have specialty doctors. So I think is the key here too, is like relying on your team, relying on videos, relying on technology to be able to scale your knowledge so that you can help more people, be more profitable, and ultimately have a better business. Which actually takes us to number 16, which is not being humble enough to know that other coaches are better than you at different parts of career coaching. And by the way, like, I think this is something I realized rather quickly. If you don't know this already, I suck at spelling, right? I absolutely suck at spelling. I am probably the only best-selling author you know from the book right there that can't spell. So imagine Daniel 5 years ago trying to write a resume. Like, imagine how guilty would I feel if I help a client write the resume and they don't get the interview because there's tons of spelling errors. Like, I had to humble myself and say, yes, I think I'm a great coach. I know how to write the bullet points. I know what needs to be on a resume. But for me to be the one that checks your spelling and checks the attention to detail was doing a disservice to my clients, right? So understanding the things you love to do, don't love to do, the things you're great at, the things you're not so great at, and hiring your weakness or bringing other coaches in to elevate your program is an amazing thing to do, right? I hired out resumes. I remember hiring my friend who's the owner of Sparkshare Resume and paying him to write the resumes for us for a long time. I even ultimately paid him to train my team on how to write resumes. Like, I think that's really smart, and you shouldn't be ashamed to bring in other coaches, other experts, resume writers, people to help with LinkedIn, or use some AI tools to help you here. This is like a cheat code that you should be doing. I think even if you're watching this and you're in the community, if you're not, join the community. But one thing that Ellie did, who's a member of our community, she's a client of mine and she's fantastic, is she said, I am willing to swap office hours with people. So it means that if you do one office hours in her program, let's say once a month, then she would go do office hours to your program. And that's like genius, because now you are, helping each other grow, adding value to both of your communities. And that's a fantastic thing to do it. And that's a way to do it where it doesn't cost you any extra money. Or you can find some really good HR recruiters, HR professionals, hiring managers that just want to make some side income on the side and are willing to do 1 or 2 hours a week to coach your clients. I'll tell you guys a story. And if you're watching this, Jasmine, shout out to you. I had a long time ago, probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I was working with a student. Her name was Jasmine. And she went through my program and she was able to get a job as a campus recruiter for IBM. And what's really great about here is that she, to this day, still does 2 hours, about 1 to 2 hours of mock interviews a week for my program. I pay her an hourly rate, but she's an alumni of my program who is a campus recruiter for IBM, who now does mock interviews and behavioral interviews for our clients and adds value to it. Like, look, I am a great coach. I understand a lot about recruiting. I understand everything about interviewing, resumes, all of that. But it's a really good perspective to have when you have different people doing mock interviews, because every hiring manager is different. And so I think that's really important there. Number 17, not doubling down on my niche. And I know that this is a marketing thing, but it's a client success issue too. You see, when you have a very clear niche, you're able to think about, okay, what are some of the things that I can do to provide for my clients that doesn't make sense for other career coaches to do, that my niche, my ideal avatar is gonna love. So for my international STEM students, providing an immigration expert, whether it was monthly, quarterly, bi-weekly sometimes, depending on the time of the year, made a lot of sense. I would go and hire Robert Bouchard, who was an H-1B guy, and I would pay him to be part of my program to answer questions to my clients, that if my clients were to do that, it would be too expensive. But because I have so many clients and they're like subsidizing this, it's the same reason like Planet Fitness or Anytime Fitness or LA Fitness will hire Zumba instructors, pay them for the class, and it's okay, everybody wins. The Zumba instructor gets paid, The gym can say, I offer Zumba classes. They get more memberships. And not every member goes to Zumba. And I think it's the same thing here. It's like, what can you do that makes a lot of sense when you pay for it for the community? Another thing that we do is that we have a premium Canva account so that our clients don't have to pay for a premium Canva because they only need it when they're designing things for their job search. And also, this Canva account is full of examples of potential proof documents, portfolios, websites, banners for LinkedIn, all this stuff. There's like a master brain for coaches. Again, added benefit. We also started implementing technical interview support. So we found, again, let me give you an example. There's LeetCode, which is one of the largest platforms to practice coding around interviews. And LeetCode ranks the coders, people who do a lot of practice problems. They get ranked, and you can rank. You're in the top 10%, top 25%, top 0.1%. And in this particular example, I had one of my technical coaches who was in the top 1% of LeetCode was coaching for me, right? We were paying him to coach. He goes like, hey, my friend is in the top 0.01% of all people on LeetCode. And the thing is that he's a high school student and his parents were like, hey, if you don't have a job, if you get a job offer as a software engineer, then you don't have to go to college. But if you don't have a job by the time you graduate high school or start college in fall, then you're going to have to go to college and get a degree. So he said, hey, I talked to him, and if you help him get a job, that he would coach for you for free for a year. So what we did is that we gave him free access to the program. We helped him get a job as a high school student. He obviously knows the technical situation. And he then volunteered for 2 hours a week, not allowed. Like, I'm not like getting free slave labor here. Like 2 hours a week, he would then coach people on how to pass the technical coding interview, coming from the guy who's in the 0.01% of the best in LeetCode. And that is what I'm talking about. That made sense for my niche. That was a way for me to do it for free. And those are the types of client success things that really elevate your program, allows you to charge more, because now I can go like, hey, we help with technical interviews. We have some of the best coaches out there, top 1%, top 0.1%, and doesn't cost me a lot of money, and it elevates my program. So again, not doubling down on my niche, but if I am here thinking that I help everyone in anything, in any job, in any industry, in any time that we're in anywhere in the world, that I'm not able to actually think creatively of how I solve for those client success situations to elevate my program. Number 18, not having systems and processes to generate predictable results. And I talk a lot about this in other videos, and I will talk about this more in other videos, like if more detailed in other videos, but it's really, really important to have systems and processes, like how to onboard them properly, how to have weekly checkup calls, like have different activation points and have checklists for your clients to do. Because when you have systems and processes, then you know the input that's required to get the output that is required, or then you know what are the activities that are required to get the output that you want, the success that you want. And so systemizing your department is going to be key. And in the beginning, that just might be you looming yourself having those calls. That might be you looming yourself delivering the service. And after you loomed yourself, do that same activation point, whether it's the resume writing or the mock interview part or any of those parts. Then create a document, create a manual, try to really make this to say, if I can teach someone who doesn't know anything about career coaching and how to deliver this, that's when you know you have a good system and process, and that generates predictability. Number 19 is not holding your clients accountable. Look, I understand that they paid you and you feel like they're always right, but look, the customer is not always right. You need to give them the tough love. And part of them reaching big goals, like getting those big career pivots or getting those dream jobs, requires accountability. There's a reason why people that work with a personal trainer get better results than people that go to the gym by themselves or say they're going to go and pay for the yearly gym membership and never go. People need accountability. There's just something weird about people holding the promise for others, but we don't do this. We don't do as good of a job at keeping the promise to ourselves. Like, you don't miss a doctor's appointment, yet you hit the snooze and the alarm button, and so do your clients. So don't be afraid to hold them accountable. Don't be afraid to say like, hey, Maria, I understand that you might be down, you might have anxiety, you might be feeling like a lot of rejections are happening, but if we don't continue to apply the right way, if we don't continue to network, if you're not tweaking your resume for the job, if you're not preparing for the interview, then we're not going to be able to achieve the goal that we set on onboarding, and we're going to be able to have to change the goal or change the actions. Hold them accountable. Give them the tough love. If not, you'll be doing your clients a disservice. So don't be afraid to have the conversation. Don't be afraid to use the sandwich message where you start with positive, give them the hard feedback, and then end with positive. And we can, if you guys are enjoying these types of videos, we can do more of them. So just leave your comments below or ask your questions below so that I know what you guys are liking. And by the way, I can go into detail in any single one of these points in a further video. And then number 20 is not having a proper exit call. We have a great onboarding, but do you not have a good bookend in the end that like finishes the program? And you can call it graduation call. You call it an exit call. And it's really important that you have this. This is a really good opportunity to, one, get your testimonial, like record yourself saying, hey, how did you enjoy this? Do you mind if I hit record? Like, where were you before you started working with me? What's the transformation that happened when you were here? How do you feel now? Right? This is also a really great way to upsell them an addition program. If you have like a program where it's about career management, you can upsell them here. This is also an amazing opportunity to say, hey, would you like to be an alumni of the program and come speak? Right? Would you mind if I do a LinkedIn post about you? This is also a great way to get referrals and feedback for your program. So if you don't already have an exit call, a proper exit call, just like you have an onboarding call, then my friend, you are missing out. So look, I have been speaking at 200 miles an hour for the last 45 minutes, and I can speak for another 4 or 5 hours on this topic. I love client success. It's my favorite part of the business because this is where the magic happens. This is what makes the difference between an okay coach to a good coach and a good coach and a great coach. Client success is actually the reason why long-term your business will grow. It's not the marketing side. Client success will make marketing a lot easier if you have the testimonials, if you have the success, if you have the data. So if you are enjoying this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want my help and my team's help to help implement a very successful client success department in your program, to help you scale it, to help you build your program, to help you build the course, to help you from every single thing we talked about this and more, then right below this link, there's going to be a link for you to apply to work with us, to at least have a conversation with us to see how we can help you in your business. Look, I know we talk a lot about marketing, LinkedIn, lead gens, and sales, but trust me, this is what makes your business amazing. This is what separates the good coach to the great coaches. So again, thank you. If you're watching this all the way into the end, 47 minutes into this video, you are on the right track because you care enough about your clients to spend the time to learn how to make your program better. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.